Welcome to this report on the final day of the 2022 Project Edward Week of Action. We have our final stops on the road trip, plus a look at an initiative to reduce close following, or tailgating if you prefer, on the strategic road network. We'll examine post-crash response as a safe system pillar in our final video from Transport Scotland, and we'll mark 10 years of improved road safety thanks to the Bosch eCall service. First off though, let's head for the northeast where our Stuart Lovett is in Durham.
Well, here we are, day 5, Project Edward's road trip in the north. We've set off this week from Blackpool, then to Leyland, Preston, Leeds yesterday, and now we're at Durham Services, where we're going to be putting on an event with the police and other emergency services, National Highways, our corporate sponsor for this year's event. So we're looking forward to seeing what today has to offer and how we're all going to work together to ensure that our roads stay safe. So Project Edward in Durham Services, the team who are taking part in Operation Tramline today. So here today we have Operation Tramline in action, the first detection of the day, travelling down the A1M. This flatbed truck, overladen, unsecured load, and also a tyre that's actually shredded as he was driving down. So the tramline car that was picked this up, the driver is now being spoken to and will be prosecuted for the state of his vehicle.
We're here today from the Commissioner's office supporting Project Edward at Durham Services so that we are looking at ensuring that vehicles on the road are safe. Today is part of an overall effort that is to try and ensure that people are safe on the road and that we can keep it that way into the future.
So Nigel, I believe you've just been out in the Operation Tramline vehicle. So what did you find when you were actually out on the M1?
It was interesting to be able to clearly see the traffic, to be able to identify whether people had their seat belts on, whether they were or were not using the mobile phones. And it seems to me that the vehicle is a great vehicle to be able to monitor, check and enforce the laws regarding the highways. So to me it was a great vehicle and a great experience.
So the theme of Project Edward this year is about changing minds and changing behaviours. So do you think operations like this and events like this can help to raise awareness, to change people's behaviour and understanding of what they can do to reduce their risk whilst on the roads?
I think these events are a key to help raise the profile of road safety, but at the same time address unroadworthy vehicles. So you're actually doing two things. One is raising the profile, and the second thing is dealing with some unroadworthy vehicles that at the same time help bring home to people that this is a serious issue, that if there are failures there could be serious consequences, and to me this is really part and parcel and a good way of raising the profile of road safety.
So I'm the Regional Safety Programme Manager sitting within operations, and I work with the police forces and safety partnerships across the region on operations like this to spread our safety messages and engage with people. But bringing all our partners together gives us a really great opportunity to share messages with our customers and show that we're all working together to make the road a safer place, but we need them to work with us as well as drivers. And changing minds and changing behaviours, we really need to speak to people about doing that. Having national campaigns is absolutely fantastic, but not everybody sees those. We get out on the ground, we introduce the work that the police are doing and why they're doing it. They're doing it to save lives. We introduce the tramline cab and why it's out there and what kind of behaviours the police are out there looking for, and that really gets people thinking.
So Operation Tramline is something that we're doing at the moment in conjunction with Operation Edward. Today we've got the HGV behind us, which we've used to pull in vehicles to check for defects from our main carriageway. The vehicle you see behind me, the flatback, has been pulled in, and we found a multitude of defects with that vehicle. There's a lot of tools within the rear seat which could fly forward should the vehicle come to a sudden halt. There's defects with the tyres. There's scrap metal on the back of the vehicle which is not secured down. and the side compartments which hold the load in in a secure place, again, are all loose and can come open at any time.
So Kevin, the main theme for this year's Project Edward is changing minds and changing the behaviour. How do you think that something like Operation Tramline, and you're pulling this vehicle over, how do you think you're going to be able to change this driver's behaviour?
We've pulled this driver over and we hope to change his behaviour. We hope to change his mind with regards to any future events. There's two elements that we've gone down today. One's the enforcement route. So this driver's going to be, his vehicle's been taken off the road. It's going to go to a secure pound. He's going to have to get the defects rectified before he gets the vehicle back. All that's going to cost him money. So it's going to hit him in the pocket. But what we've tried to do is educate him whilst he's been here today. He's been given leaflets, booklets, but we've also tried to go around and explain the consequences of what would happen should this vehicle have been involved in a road traffic collision. Now, the biggest thing for us is he's had his child on board today, and that's we've used that as a way to try and educate him of the consequences that would happen. There's loose parts, loose equipment in the back of that vehicle where other people would sit, and they would have came forward and potentially caused a catastrophic fatal incident should he have been involved in a collision.
Very busy here today with Operation Tramline. Another flatbed picked up with a completely unsecured load, wheels, tyres, and looks like old batteries, all just left in the back of the vehicle. So, successful day here with Project Edward, supporting Operation Tramline. So, there's been some very interesting findings. The police have been detecting people driving with illegal, defective vehicles, unsecured loads, and other driving offences. So there's been a lot of engagement with the drivers. Some of it have been just little advisory messages being given to them of how they could reduce the risk whilst out on the roads. But other times they've had to resort to a prosecution because in the case that we saw with the flatbed truck was multiple vehicle offences. So they had no option but to impound the vehicle, and that vehicle has now been taken away and the driver will face summary prosecution. So a very successful day, brilliant example of partnership working, and a lot of engagement with members of the public here in Durham, explaining what Operation Tramline in support of Project Edward Week of Action was all about.
Stuart Lovett was reporting from Durham.
Did you know that there's specific advice in the Highway Code about safe ways of driving past a horse and rider? This is because some horses can be nervous and react badly to vehicles that go past them too close or too fast. This information has been put together for Project Edward Week by Warwickshire Police and the British Horse Society.
Hello, I'm Carol Cottrell. I'm the Rural Crime Coordinator for Warwickshire Police, and I'm also the Chair of Warwickshire Horse Watch. Warwickshire Road Safety Partnership works with partners to reduce the number of incidents on the road. Last year nationally, 66 horses were killed and 126 riders were injured. By passing wide and slow on our roads, we can really significantly reduce those numbers.
The Highway Code now has specific advice to drivers on how to pass horses safely. The first is, if you see a horse on the road, then reduce your speed to a maximum of 10 miles an hour. Don't sound your horn or rev your engine. Pass the horse wide and slow, at least 2 metres distance, and drive slowly away. The advice for motorcyclists is exactly the same for drivers. If you see a horse on the road, slow down to a maximum of 10 miles an hour. Don't sound your horn or rev your engine, and when safe to do so, pass wide and slow and drive slowly away. Of course, if your motorbike has a loud engine, it can be particularly challenging to horses, so it might be preferable to stop and actually turn your engine off. And when passing a horse on a bicycle, it's always good to be nice and say hi.
Cyclist behind.
Alert the rider so that they know that you are behind them. Always pass wide and slow. Never pass a horse on the inside, and ensure that you give the horse as much notice and the rider as much notice as possible. You report incidents to the British Horse Society on our Horse Eye app. It's really important that we get to know about close passes and near misses. That way we can work with our partners in the Warwickshire Police and ensure that some action and some advice is given to avoid these incidents happening in the future.
You can also submit any evidence that you may have that's been captured on a helmet camera. Send it to Warwickshire Police Operation Snap. The evidence will be looked at by one of our road traffic police officers, and further information regarding this can be found on our Warwickshire Police website.
Now, each day this week we've been looking at a different pillar of the SAFE system with Transport Scotland. Today we consider post-crash response.
Post-crash response, part of the SAFE system. Scotland's road safety framework is underpinned by the SAFE system. The SAFE system approach to road safety challenges traditional thinking. It looks at how all elements of the road transport system can work together to help protect us. Post-crash response is the pillar of the SAFE system, which in the event of a collision, provides effective post-collision care. It involves emergency treatment and trauma care and rehabilitation. It aims to assist in reducing fatalities and serious injuries across our road network. We can all help by doing simple things, such as improving our knowledge on what to do should we see an emergency vehicle with its lights and siren on. This understanding can help vehicles get to the scene quickly. On-scene care is crucial, from first aid provided by first responders to extrication and treatment by the rescue services, and in some of the most severe cases, fast transportation to a trauma centre. If an incident occurs on a rural road or at a time of day when there is little passing traffic, it can be some time before the alarm is raised. Technology can play a big part to improve the response time and get help to where it is most needed, such as phone apps, which can be used to help locate you in the event of an emergency. In addition, some vehicles and cyclists also have technology which automatically contacts the emergency services in the event of a collision. Everyone has a part to play in the delivery of the SAFE system and helping to achieve the vision of Scotland having the best road safety performance in the world by 2030. Together, making Scotland's roads safer.
Now, a key factor in getting the right care to road crash casualties is knowing where that care has to go, the right location, as quickly as possible. An innovation designed to help is a system known as eCall. Since April 2018, most cars and vans have been fitted with eCall. This built-in safety feature is automatically activated in the event of an incident when the airbags are deployed. This can also be manually activated by the driver or passenger by pressing a button. This button known as the eCall SOS. You don't need to be carrying a mobile phone for this vehicle built-in safety feature to work.
eCall should only be used if the situation requires the emergency services. When activated, eCall contacts a 999 operator and provides your vehicle's exact location directly to emergency services. This means help arrives more quickly. National Highways, working with the Society of Motor Manufacturers and Traders, created a campaign to show drivers how to locate and use the SOS button.
Since April 2018, most new cars and vans have been fitted with an emergency call system known as eCall or SOS. You don't need to have a mobile phone with you for it to work, but you should only press the eCall button if the situation requires the emergency services. You might have a medical emergency or see someone else needing help. Or you might find yourself with a problem and unable to get out of your car safely. In which case, turn on your hazard warning lights, press the eCall button to call 999 and keep your seatbelts on.
Emergency, which service?
eCall will connect you to a 999 operator and send them details of your current location and the direction you are travelling, along with the time and your vehicle details. This means the time it takes the emergency services to get to you could be cut by as much as 50%, and they'll arrive better prepared. eCall SOS could save your life. Locate the button, know when to use it. For more information, visit the National Highways website.
Project Edward partner Bosch is one of the leading global providers of eCall systems to vehicle manufacturers. The following video shows what happens once a driver presses the SOS button.
Up to 50 million crash-related injuries occur each year worldwide, leaving vehicle occupants stranded, injured and maybe unconscious. In critical situations like this, every minute counts. A fast and effective post-crash response from emergency services is vital. It can limit the consequences of collisions and contribute to saving lives. So, knowing what exactly has happened, where and who requires immediate medical assistance, even before getting to the site of the collision, can help rescue teams provide the most appropriate response. This is where the Emergency Call Service, or eCall for short, from Bosch Service Solutions comes in. Launched in 2012, eCall uses sensors in vehicles to detect an incident and sends an emergency call to a Bosch emergency centre. A voice connection is established, either automatically or at the push of a button, to a Bosch emergency expert. At the same time, the system transmits data from the vehicle that are relevant to the collision. The Bosch emergency expert takes the call, evaluates it and, if necessary, relays the case including relevant data to the local rescue services. Throughout the process, car occupants are always addressed in their language, even if the collision took place abroad. The expert stays on the phone to the people involved until the local rescue team is at the scene. With eCall from Bosch Service Solutions, injured car occupants receive quick help and personal attention, which are the best conditions for a quick and safe recovery. This is how technology can play an even greater role in minimising road deaths and saving lives.
Project Edward wouldn't be possible without the support of our valued partners and sponsors. Our two sponsors today are specifically linked to post-crash care. As you've just seen, Bosch provides some of the main eCall SOS systems in the UK, while HCC Solicitors is an award-winning serious injury law firm acting for individuals with life-changing, often catastrophic injuries, and families who've lost loved ones, often as a result of avoidable road traffic collisions.
I'm John Milburn. I'm the head of Bosch Service Solutions here in the UK. Here at Bosch, we were pioneers in developing eCall services. These services ensure that vehicles involved in road traffic accidents receive a rapid response from the emergency services, and that time contributes to saving lives. We're passionate about road safety, and that's why we're delighted to be part of Project Edward.
Hi, I'm Mike Malloy. I'm a partner in the serious injury team at HCC Solicitors.
And I'm Brian Coglan, I'm a director at HCC.
Here at HCC Solicitors, we act with individuals with life-changing, often catastrophic injuries. We also act for families who've lost loved ones, often as a result of avoidable road traffic collisions.
One of the reasons we're supporting Project Edward is because we see the devastation caused to families on a daily basis in the work that we do. And as Mike said, these deaths are preventable. And we encourage everyone to get involved and try to help raise awareness of the importance of driving safely on our roads. Please do what you can to support this very important initiative.
Now, you're all aware of the discomfort you can feel when you're driving along the road and someone's dangerously close behind you. According to National Highways, tailgating is a factor in 1 in 8 casualties on the strategic road network. Head of Marketing Alison Holliday is here to tell us about the Space Invaders initiative, which aims to make more drivers aware of the risks and to know the importance of leaving enough space. So Alison, tell us a bit about Space Invaders.
So the idea behind the campaign is to reduce the number of people who are killed and seriously injured on the network and to improve journeys for our customers. So the campaign is there to raise awareness of tailgating, so that people are more aware of it as a particular behaviour, to position tailgating as something that is kind of socially unacceptable and something that people shouldn't do on the network, and to encourage people to kind of leave a bigger gap between them and the vehicle in front of them. So we kind of looked at it because tailgating is a factor in 1 in 8 casualties on the strategic road network. So it's really important for us and for people to kind of modify their behaviour.
What do you know about people who tailgate? Is it always deliberate?
So there's kind of two types of tailgating really. There's your intentional tailgaters. So I won't mention any specific brands of motor car, but there are particular ones that like to drive quite close to the person in front. And the aim of the campaign wasn't really to target those people because it's quite an entrenched behaviour. What we wanted to do was to target people who were unintentionally creeping up to the car in front and not kind of realising that they were tailgating and not leaving that space. So the idea of the campaign is to kind of target more of the mass audience who are doing it unintentionally, so that they can kind of drop back slightly.
What message are you hoping to put across?
The idea behind the campaign is basically the key message is don't be a space invader. So we used kind of the really familiar 1970s iconography of Space Invaders and the game, and the sonic cues that came with it. So as part of that, we developed our kind of campaign creative. So the idea is don't be a space invader, and the call to action is to stay safe, stay back. And within the campaign evolution, we've also included more recently the specific call to action to leave that 2-second gap, which is something that has obviously been in past campaigns, but something we've thought that we'd bring to the fore so that people knew exactly what they needed to do. So yeah, we've used the Space Invaders iconography, so it means that it's familiar. People recognise it, they kind of know what it is, and they know then when they see the advert that they need to stay safe and to leave that space between them and the vehicle in front.
And finally, I suppose, what does success look like?
So success is the behaviour change. So we've been running this campaign since September 2018. We've done 6 different phases. So initially, the success was to raise awareness of tailgating as a specific issue and something that normal drivers do, and not those intentional ones. Obviously, if we can try and change their behaviour too, then that's an added bonus. So from that, we've looked to raise awareness and then to get people to leave that 2-second gap, so to stay back from the car in front. We've had some really good results with the campaign. So we've got 20% unprompted recall of the campaign, so that's quite high. Of the people who saw the campaign, 72% of those said that they were likely to change their behaviour. So that's good to know. And 87% of the people that we kind of have researched said that we're tackling a really important safety issue. I think it's one of people's bugbears on the network. If someone's driving too close to them, I think that it feels like it's aggressive. It's not kind of a nice place to be when you're driving, so it doesn't really help the customer experience if other people are doing that. So when we introduced as well the information on the 2-second gap, leaving the 2-second gap, we've had 11% increase in awareness of that kind of key instruction since we've included it during this financial year.
Alison Holliday from National Highways, thank you. Now it's time to head to Stroud in Gloucestershire, where I had the opportunity to attend an Older Drivers Forum event today.
We've come down from Warwick now, and here we are in Gloucestershire and the town of Stroud, where we're meeting Nigel Lloyd-Jones and various members of the Older Drivers Forum. Gloucestershire is a pioneering county in the facilities laid on for safer driving into old age. So let's go and talk to a few people and find out exactly what's going on and why it's so important.
Well, good morning. I'm Nigel Lloyd-Jones. I'm co-lead of the Older Driver Forum for Gloucestershire. And in these times when there is so much confusion, what can make a difference is communities coming together. And we've created an event today where a community has come together, a road safety community, all focused on older drivers. Now, this initiative initially started in Gloucestershire following the death of my mother. And this is something that we decided to do to create a positive legacy. She died in a collision in a vehicle driven by an elderly relative. So what we are trying to do is to convey and give information about how to keep driving safely for longer. That is our core mission, and very important to say, because people often think, oh, you're trying to take older drivers off the road. No, we want to give them information and advice on how they can keep driving safely for longer, but also how to plan for when it is time to retire from driving.
Hi, my name is Robert Pepper. I am Chief Observer for Gloucestershire Institute of Advanced Motorists.
Give me 3 good reasons why an older person should consider an assessed drive.
So we get a lot of impressions from older drivers that it's very stressful driving. So by undertaking one of our courses, they can reduce the stress levels terrifically. They can increase their powers of observation. That's another point. And if you increase the observation, it gives you more time to make decisions. It makes you a safer driver on the road, and you can keep your licence longer.
So I'm Matt Fellows, and I'm the Chief Executive of Age UK Gloucestershire.
What's your interest in this initiative today?
So our vision is to make Gloucestershire the best county in which to grow older, and there are multiple facets to that, from overcoming social isolation and loneliness through to supporting older people with the cost of living crisis and health inequality. But actually also a big chunk of that is about raising awareness of older people about how safe they are, about how the opportunities that exist for them to better understand, but also the opportunities for them to connect with organisations who can support them to make the best decisions for them and their families.
Specifically, how do you help with driving?
So we work closely with Gloucestershire Older Drivers Forum and with Gloucester Older People's Association to raise the awareness of how challenging and how much challenge there can be with the safety of older drivers, but also trying to support older drivers' families too, to enable them to engage with the older person, whether that be a father, mother, grandparents, to try and engage them to be able to make really sensible, pragmatic decisions about how safe it is for them to continue driving, and whether they can be engaged in assessments, or whether actually they can be supported through their own self-assessments that they can do as a result of support with the Drivers Forum.
David Goldsmith.
Joan Goldsmith.
David, just tell us your story.
Well, 31 years ago, when I was 48 years of age, I had serious glaucoma. And lots of eye operations and that sort of thing over the years. And I knew that at some stage it was quite likely that I would not be able to drive anymore. And fortunately, for all of that time, up till this year, I have continued to pass the DVLA field tests. And so I was able to keep driving, keep working, and do all the rest of the things that I wanted to do. But this year, what I had regarded as inevitable did happen. I failed the DVLA field test, and my licence disappeared overnight.
I think for me, we had prepared in a way. We knew it would be inevitable. It does come, absolutely sort of in one day. So we've already decided about selling cars, buying another one, and you are an incredible navigator. So instead of falling asleep when I was driving, which you used to do, you now take on the role, and you helped me hugely with navigation, and he's quite happy to be a passenger in a taxi.
My name's Paul Farrell. I'm a driving instructor. I work for Driving and Mobility. So Driving and Mobility is Bristol based, but we're part of a much larger network. With respect to the older driver, one scheme that we've recently started is called the Fitness to Drive, and that's an alternative to prosecution. Maybe if an older driver has had an accident or an incident on the road, there's the option for that driver to, if the police consider it appropriate, to either have an assessment as opposed to be prosecuted. Invariably, the driver would come for assessment. That's a medically based assessment. We hope to support the driver with driving, and that's often the case. But if we see serious difficulties, we may need to consider adaptation. May actually need to advise them to stop driving, but it's considered much more appropriate for an older driver, or an older driver with disabilities, maybe a driver that's using adaptations.
It's been absolutely fantastic. We've had all our partners here attending. We've had some brilliant networking between them. We've had some very interesting conversations with people. We feel this has been a hugely valuable thing to have done. So we're absolutely thrilled.
Next steps then?
Next steps. In a week's time, at 10 o'clock, we will be running another of our community webinars. And these have been hugely popular. And I can give you a preview that next week also there will be a very important announcement coming from the Police Crime Commissioner about a new initiative for older drivers being trialled here in Gloucestershire.
On to our final road trip report for this year. Our road trip crews have been touring the country in our fleet of 3 Kia EV6 electric vehicles. With the cost for all kinds of fuels on the rise, we wanted to look at how much difference speed makes to the cost and duration of a journey. So earlier today, with our partners at Webfleet, Darren and I drove the same route, but each of us limited to different speeds. Webfleet then crunched the data to give us insight into each journey. We based ourselves at a Webfleet customer, Telent in Warwick, a fleet operator that's seen massive safety and efficiency benefits from its adoption of tracking and telematics. So let's take a look at what they achieved before we see who did better in our EV challenge.
Well, it's Friday morning and it's the last leg of the road trip. And here we... Hello, Jim.
Hello there, how do you think I managed that? Hello everybody. Just jumped out of the studio. It's the one day I've been allowed out, and I hope you don't mind that I join you here in Warwick, Kenilworth. We've got quite a busy little morning. The challenge is we have 2 Project Edward cars. We're going to do a little circuit, 30 miles, but we're going to do it as economically as possible. And I believe I'm restricted to a maximum speed of 60 miles an hour. Motorways and dual carriageways, doesn't matter, nothing more than 60. What about you?
I'm going to be restricted to the speed limit of 70 on the motorways. Shall I see? Now, remember, James, the first one there puts the kettle on, all right?
I shall see you there. Let's see how this goes.
I'll be heading up to the top where you've got the M42 west and north.
Yeah, I think that's what he said, didn't he? Just step there, you turn round, come off at junction 5, he said.
Follow Birmingham, go down one junction, turn round on yourself and then head back. Caught him already. 2 Edward cars. Wonder when he realises he's got Edward behind him. Put your light back on. Yeah. So quite basically, we've got to the halfway point now of 20 miles down the road, and we have just caught up with the number 1 car. Again, reminding you, we are in car 2 going at 70, and James in car 1 is going at a maximum of 60 miles per hour where permitted.
Well, how long have you been here then?
I'll be honest with you, James, actually just about 1 minute ahead of you in total. So not a lot. I thought it'd be more. But
and
yeah.
then the analysis of all this is going to be done by our friends from Webfleet.
Webfleet, yeah.
What do you expect them to be telling us? What will we learn from this, I wonder?
There'll be a couple of things, no doubt, in terms of the auxiliary equipment we had on in the car. I don't know if you were feeling warm and comfortable. The cars were both set to eco, that we made sure. I didn't have any aircon on the car. I was just using the heated seats today, so that should give us some good feedback. Driving style, as you said, there wasn't a lot of traffic there, so there wasn't too many interventions of coming in and out. I think it's going to be very close, I think.
Good. Well, I need to head off now to Gloucester and to Stroud because I'm meeting Nigel and the team from the Older Drivers Forum in Gloucestershire.
Yeah,
thank you for having me along.
No worries, it's been great. As I say, we'll have a further look now with the data with the team here, and we'll report back later.
Thank you. Thank you.
Have a safe trip. Cheers.
So it's the final day of our road trip for Project Edward this week. And it's kind of sad in a way, but at the same time, I'm also looking forward to understanding more some of the data that's driven the vehicles throughout this week through our partner, Webfleet Solutions. And we're going to try to unpack that now and give you some insights into what went on. Bearing in mind as well, the theme for today is about post-crash care. The way we're going to talk about this is that after any incident or after any intervention, it's probably equally as important that you analyse that data and study it as some form of continuous improvement. So we've had quite an eventful week this week so far, Richard, yeah? And there's a number of things I know that you've been picking up on, but if you'd just like to sort of take us through what was going on in the background there as we were active on the road this week.
Okay, so we've put our equipment into the 3 vehicles you've been running for the week, so with a specific objective of gathering data and gathering information that we can then feed back insights and feed into this overall project for the week in terms of each theme for the day, what we want to do. So I guess if we roll back to the beginning of the week, you know, you've gone into 3 wonderful EVs. You know, we knew it's new technology and not everything is necessarily perfect in the world of EV. We'll maybe cover that later.
We weren't just driving a car, it was an office for us for the week. So we had mobile phones charging, we had cameras charged, we had everything going on. The aircon was on, the climate control, we thought it was fab. So I don't know what you saw there in the background in terms of what was going on in terms of our consumption, but
we saw that. We saw it. And you know, the theme for today is about post-analysis of incidents. So yes, I'm grateful we never had any incidents of anything to be worried about over the course of this thing, but we did see, you know, really some very surprising energy consumption data from your vehicles, so much so that your equipment level consumption was the same as your driving consumption. So feeding on about how we deal with this, you know, you and I had a conversation, I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday. We explained what was going on, and actually what we saw Thursday and Friday this week was a fundamental shift in actually your consumption levels of that ancillary equipment. And as a result, your efficiencies went right up. So if we translate that across a broader spectrum of information, then the way you communicate with those drivers, the way you engage with them and help them understand the impact of their actions can easily lead to change and improvement. And that, you know, when we talk about post-incident management, I guess the same principles apply. It's understanding the data that you're receiving, turning that into insightful data, and then delivering it in a message type and style that the recipient can actually deal with and manage.
But we're here today at Telent's head office in Warwick, whereby they use this equipment, and in fact they really push this equipment to the nth degree and keep you challenged about it. So let's just have a look at what they do to help improve road safety within their organisation.
What we try and do every month is we run new campaigns, and those campaigns often come from the drivers' ideas themselves. So we often share stories about behaviours, and it's about looking at the analysis and working out exactly what the root cause of some of our incidents are and learning from those behaviours. This year for us has been focused on the recent highway code changes. One of the most important things we wanted to get across to drivers is looking out for vulnerable road users. So when we reached out to our employees across the business, we had one of our employees that wanted to share a personal story, which was about their son being involved in a motorbike accident. And that was as a result of a driver not looking carefully for vulnerable road users. So when we shared that personal story, it really hit home with so many of our employees. We got so much positive feedback. And I think those personal stories really allow everybody to change their mindset. And for us, that's what it's about. It's about making sure that when you get behind the wheel, you're thinking about motorbikes, you're thinking about other road users. And that story for us really hit home.
So we're just going to finish up now by having a quick reflection upon some of the insights we were led to use throughout the road trip. And these wouldn't be possible without our partners. 3 to mention. The first, Webfleet, who we've been with here today, who've obviously had the artificial intelligence and the telematics provided. We've also got our friends at Nextbase that have helped with the dash cams. Fortunately, we've had no incidents, but we had that added security of knowing they were there. And the third point is our friends at GridSurf, who've helped to keep these vehicles on the road throughout the week. Just a fantastic thanks, guys, for all your support. You've been tremendous, and we look forward to working with you next time.
Now for the final part of the Driving for Better Business feature on engaging local businesses in work-related road safety.
In the previous 4 videos, we've explained what Driving for Better Business is, how we collaborate with road safety partnerships to engage local businesses. we've looked at the free resources that are available to you, and we've looked at how we support businesses in your area once they've joined our programme. So if you work for a council or a road safety partnership and you'd like to work with us to help you engage businesses in your area, how do you go about it? The good news is that we're entirely flexible on what we can offer. In the case of Kent and Medway, there is a team of willing people helping to implement the campaign locally. The Casualty Reduction Partnership is fully engaged, and budget was made available to maximise the impact of the campaign, which Driving for Better Business then added to. But even if it's just you on your own with no additional support and no financial resource to contribute, we can still help, providing guidance on how to identify and engage your local businesses, and we can still provide you with some of the resources that we've discussed at no cost to you. If you'd like to work with us, have a think about the following questions. Do you have a road safety partnership, and how many of the partners are on board, such as council, police, fire, and maybe the Police and Crime Commissioner? Are there senior leaders at any of these organisations who would be willing to endorse this project? Do you already have ideas about how to identify appropriate local businesses to engage with? Do you currently carry out any kind of road safety engagement with businesses? And do you have budget that you can contribute? As I said, don't worry if the answer is no, because we'd still love to help. I'm going to leave the last word to Anne-Marie Penny, the National Highways Programme Manager responsible for Driving for Better Business, and someone who knows only too well the difficulties that local road safety people have in engaging firms in their area.
Yeah, thanks, Simon. So a little while back, I worked in a local authority, specifically Kent, managing a road safety partnership there. And part of the work we did there was trying to engage businesses. It was quite difficult, and we didn't have the resources. We didn't necessarily have a big budget either. So there were real difficulties in A, engaging with the local businesses, and then B, providing them with what they needed to help them improve the way they managed their drivers. So now that I've come into National Highways and now that I'm leading on the Driving for Better Business programme, it's really, really important to me that we provide that support back to our local road safety partners and specifically the partnerships to help them come together and to talk to the businesses in their local areas and to provide those tools and resources from a national perspective that everybody can then use to engage business so we can all improve the way we manage work-related road risk and drivers together. That's got to be of benefit to everyone.
You can find out more about Driving for Better Business at drivingforbetterbusiness.com. Thank you for watching the videos. If you'd like to work with us, please email us at admin@drivingforbetterbusiness.com. We look forward to hearing from you and working with you.
We now have our very last social media update for this year's Week of Action. Here's our Neil Dewson-Smith with his roundup for Day 5.
Thank you, James, and good evening, everyone. Welcome to the social media update for Project Edward Day 5 in our Week of Action. I can't believe it's Day 5. It's incredible that we've got through this week so quickly, but not surprising with the amount of activities and things that have been going on for the campaign with all our partners and supporters and members of the public and police and road safety partnerships. It's been fantastic. But I'm not going to keep anybody this evening. It's our final broadcast, so 2 tweets of note. First one, it's actually interesting this because it's from Stapleford Train on Twitter. but it actually references a tweet from 2015, and that tweet's from Surrey Police. But it focuses on the safe speeds in a sort of humorous kind of way. But it was a great tweet at the time when it went out. If anybody's seen Back to the Future, they'll know the flames that are left in the road as the car zooms off at 88 miles an hour. And Surrey Police put a tweet out with the flames in the road and a police officer with the speed gun just behind. And the wording said, "Roads, where we're going, we don't need roads. But 88 in a 30 still gets you points and a fine in all timelines." I thought that was a great tweet, just humorous, but still on the speed message, and shows that even from 2015, that's some evergreen content there that's still relevant for Project Edward and safe speeds. So thank you for that, Staple for Train. The second one really was one from Bridgestone, Tyre People, and that came out today. Interesting, the Tyre People, but we start here with this one where we started in the week and where we finished the week, in that it was Tyre Safety Month when we started and it's Tyre Safety Month when we finish. And Bridgestone put a message out to just remind everybody that it's half term for most people next week. And you think, yeah, lots of people will be out on the roads, visiting friends and family, maybe getting away for that last break before everything changes in winter and so on, and it all gets dark and so on. So they put a tweet out just to remind everybody that it is half term, and if you're going out on the roads, the importance of checking your tyres. Act, air pressure, condition, tread, looking at your tread depth, looking for cuts and bulges in your tyres, looking for perished tyre sidewalls and all those kind of things. If in doubt, seek the advice of a professional. And then two things to finish. The one really is just to say that we'd like to put on record our thanks to Blue Light Aware. That's a package that's put together by our sponsors, Gem Motoring Assist. They've been supporting us with their Blue Light videos this week, which have had in total over 100,000 views on Twitter alone. So we're really grateful to them for their support. And finally, we are teetering on the edge of just about to perhaps go past 40 million impressions for our accounts this week in our week of action. So we're very grateful to everybody, but it's been a great week, real pleasure to be part of it, and we're looking forward to 2023 already. With that, back to you, James, and thank you.
And that's the end of the programme and the end of our 2022 week of action. Many thanks to everyone who helped with all the events held during the week. Thanks to our partners, and thanks to you for supporting and watching. Don't forget to continue following our social media channels. We're on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram and YouTube. Like and share our messages if you can, and post your own road safety messages with the hashtag Project Edward. We'll be announcing plans for our 2023 campaign later this year. Make sure you join the newsletter list on the Project Edward website to get this information as soon as it's released. So thank you very much from everybody here on the Project Edward team. It's goodbye and thanks for watching. See you next year.